We live our lives believing we are simply characters in a pre-written story, observers looking out at a solid, objective world that exists independently of us. But a revolution is quietly brewing at the very foundations of science, a paradigm shift that places you, your awareness, your consciousness, at the very center of creation. Today, we embark on a journey together, a journey from the infinitesimally small world of quantum mechanics to the boundless expanse of the cosmos. We will explore a stunning series of breakthroughs and ancient insights that suggest your mind is not just in the universe. Your mind is a universe, and it's time you learned how to wield its power. Let's rewind the clock just a little to the year 2024. In a sterile, softly humming laboratory, a team of scientists held their collective breath. They were on the verge of an experiment that sounded impossible. For decades, we've built quantum computers, machines of almost unimaginable power that operate on the ghostly, probabilistic rules of the subatomic world. And for millennia, we have contemplated the mystery of the human brain, the 3-pound universe of tissue that can dream, love, and ponder its own existence. On that fateful day, these two worlds collided. For the first time in human history, scientists successfully entangled a sophisticated quantum computer with living, active brain tissue. Now, the word entanglement gets thrown around a lot, but let's pause and truly feel the weight of it. Einstein famously called it spooky action at a distance. It is a quantum phenomenon where two or more particles become linked in such a profound way that their fates are intertwined, no matter how vast the distance separating them. If you measure a property of one particle, you instantly know the state of its partner, whether it's across the lab bench or across the galaxy. There is no signal sent, no travel time. It is an instantaneous, non-local connection. It's a fundamental violation of our classical, common-sense understanding of space and time. And in 2024, that spooky, instantaneous connection was forged between a machine and a piece of biological life. What the researchers discovered sent shockwaves through the scientific community. When the brain tissue was stimulated, when it exhibited the electrical patterns of conscious activity, the entangled quantum computer responded, not just randomly, but in a way that suggested the act of conscious observation itself was influencing the quantum system. It was creating measurable, tangible changes. The long-theorized observer effect from quantum physics, the idea that the act of measuring a quantum system changes it, was no longer just about lab instruments. It was about us. It was about the power of awareness. As we now stand in what has been designated the 2025 International Year of Quantum Science and Technology, we're doing more than just looking back at the giants like Planck, Bohr, and Schrödinger. We are living in the reality they uncovered. The abstract equations they scrawled on chalkboards have leapt off the page and become a tangible, interactive part of our world. This breakthrough has given incredible new life to a once fringe theory that consciousness itself is not a byproduct of classical billiard ball-like chemical reactions in the brain, but is, in fact, a fundamental quantum phenomenon. The theory proposes that deep within our neurons, there are intricate, minuscule protein structures called microtubules. Think of them as the skeletal framework of our cells. For years, we thought their function was merely structural, but now, some pioneering physicists and anesthesiologists propose that these microtubules are perfectly designed to act as biological quantum processors. They might be able to sustain a delicate state known as quantum coherence, a synchronized, wave-like state of quantum harmony at the warm, wet temperature of the human body, a feat previously thought impossible. What does this mean for you, sitting there right now? It implies that your focused attention, the simple act of being present and aware, is not a passive spotlight illuminating a pre-existing reality. It is an active, creative force. When you focus your mind, you might be creating a state of quantum coherence within your own brain, a state that then interfaces with the quantum field that underlies all of reality. You're not just seeing the world, you are participating in the process that collapses the infinite sea of quantum probabilities into the single, concrete experience you call now. Your attention is a chisel, and the raw marble of potential is the quantum field. With every focused thought, with every moment of pure presence, you are helping to sculpt the masterpiece of your reality. Think about it. Have you ever felt like someone was watching you, even when you couldn't see them? Have you ever had a gut feeling about a situation that turned out to be right, even with no logical evidence? We often dismiss these as quirks of psychology, but what if they are subtle whispers of our quantum nature? What if they are hints that our consciousness is not confined to the bony box of our skull, but extends outwards, subtly interacting with the world on a level we are only just beginning to understand? This is no longer a philosophical question. It's a scientific one, and the answers are leading us to a conclusion that is both staggering and deeply empowering. You are a quantum being, and your awareness is a superpower. So, if our consciousness operates on quantum principles, where can we see the evidence in our own lives? Where does this theoretical science become a lived human experience? The answer lies in those magical moments of total immersion, those times when the world seems to fall away and you become one with what you're doing. Athletes call it being in the zone. Artists and musicians call it flow. Psychologists call it a peak experience. You know the feeling. You're a basketball player, and the hoop seems as wide as the ocean. The ball leaves your hands, and you just know it's going in, not as a hope, but as a certainty. You're a coder, and the lines of complex logic flow from your fingertips effortlessly, as if you're taking dictation from some higher intelligence. You're a gardener, and the sense of yourself as a separate doer dissolves, leaving only the feeling of the soil, the warmth of the sun, and the vibrant life of the plants around you. In these moments, time seems to warp. Hours can feel like minutes. Your inner critic, that constant narrator of self-doubt and worry, goes completely silent. There is no past to regret, no future to fear. There is only the pure, undivided, and joyful experience of the present moment. From this new quantum perspective, these aren't just psychological flukes. A flow state may be the experiential signature of your brain achieving a profound state of quantum coherence. Imagine your normal, everyday consciousness as a crowded room full of people, all talking at once. One thought is about an email you need to send. Another is about what to have for dinner. A third is replaying an awkward conversation from yesterday. It's a cacophony of scattered, fragmented awareness. It's noisy, inefficient, and draining. This is a state of decoherence where the quantum harmony is lost. Now, imagine a master conductor stepping to the podium With a tap of the baton, all that chatter ceases. Every voice unifies into a single, breathtakingly beautiful chord. This is coherence. This is the flow state. It's a moment when the scattered energy of your awareness is gathered and unified into a powerful, synchronized, laser-like state. Modern science can now literally see this happening. When neuroscientists place seasoned meditators, people who have trained their minds for tens of thousands of hours, into brain scanners, they witness something extraordinary. Their brainwaves, normally a chaotic jumble of different frequencies, begin to synchronize. Vast networks of neurons across different brain regions start firing in a harmonious, coherent rhythm. These organized patterns, incredibly, mirror the mathematical properties and symmetries found in quantum systems. It's as if the meditator's brain is becoming a macroscopic quantum object, demonstrating a level of order and harmony that our baseline, chaotic state of mind rarely achieves. This shift from fragmented to focused attention might be the very key to unlocking our deepest human potentials. It explains a phenomenon that has puzzled thinkers for centuries: the intuitive leap. Think of the great artists, scientists, and innovators throughout history. Albert Einstein didn't arrive at the theory of relativity through sheer logical, step-by-step deduction alone. It came to him in a series of thought experiments, of flashes of insight while imagining riding on a beam of light. The chemist Auguste Kekulé famously struggled with the structure of the benzene molecule until he had a daydream of a snake seizing its own tail, revealing the image of a closed carbon ring. Where do these revolutionary insights come from? They don't seem to bubble up from the logical, linear processing part of our minds. They feel as though they are received, downloaded in a single, elegant flash of knowing. This quantum perspective offers a tantalizing explanation. In a state of deep coherence, our consciousness may be able to access information through non-classical quantum channels. Perhaps it's tapping into the zero-point field, the vast reservoir of energy and information that underlies the fabric of space-time. Perhaps it's a form of non-local intuition, where our coherent mind can access patterns and information not available to our five senses. This suggests that by deliberately cultivating a more coherent state of awareness, we can move beyond the known limits of classical neuroscience. We can learn to tap into a mode of information processing that is faster, more holistic, and more profound than linear thought. The zone, the flow state, is not just about feeling good or being more productive. It is a doorway. It is a glimpse into the true quantum nature of your mind and its incredible latent capacity for creativity, insight, and genius. This all sounds wonderfully profound, but perhaps a bit abstract. How do we, in our busy, chaotic, modern lives, actually begin to cultivate this state of quantum coherence? How do we go from the noisy, crowded room of our minds to the beautiful, harmonious symphony? The answer, remarkably, doesn't lie in a futuristic piece of technology or a complex new theory. It lies in simple, ancient practices that have been part of human wisdom traditions for thousands of years. It begins with something you are doing right now, without any effort: breathing. The simple, intentional act of focusing on the breath is perhaps the most powerful tool we have for shifting our own neurochemistry and creating coherence in our brains. It's the anchor for the wandering mind. Let's try a very brief experiment right here, right now. Just for a moment, bring your full attention to the sensation of your breath. Feel the air entering your nostrils. Notice the coolness. Follow it down into your lungs, feeling the gentle expansion of your chest and belly, and then follow it all the way out, noticing the release, the letting go. Don't try to change it. Don't judge it. Just observe it, as a curious scientist would observe a fascinating new phenomenon. What happens when you do this, even for just a few breaths? The mental chatter might not stop completely, but its grip on you loosens. You've taken the spotlight of your attention off the chaotic stories in your head and placed it on a calm, rhythmic, present moment reality. Modern neuroscience is now validating what yogis and monks have known for centuries. When you engage in practices like this, it induces immediate and measurable physiological changes. Your heart rate variability, the healthy fluctuation in time between heartbeats, increases, which is a key indicator of a relaxed and resilient nervous system. Your brain waves begin to shift from the frantic, high beta waves of stress and anxiety to the calmer alpha and theta, waves associated with relaxation, creativity, and deep meditative states. You are, quite literally, creating coherent patterns in your own biology. Practices like mindfulness and what some traditions call choiceless awareness. Meditation take this a step further. Their primary function is to quiet the brain's default mode network, or DMN. You can think of the DMN as your brain's storyteller. It's the network responsible for your sense of a separate, individual self, the me who is worrying about the future, ruminating about the past, and constantly judging the present. It's the voice of the ego. While this network is essential for planning and self-reflection, in most of us, it's in a state of constant, noisy overdrive. It's the source of most of our anxiety and dissatisfaction, forever pulling us out of the reality of the present moment. Meditation is the act of gently and repeatedly unhooking our attention from this storyteller. Each time you notice your mind has wandered and you gently bring it back to your breath, you are weakening the dominance of the DMN. You are allowing a more unified, present moment awareness to emerge. And in this state, something truly remarkable happens. Practitioners who reach these deep states of presence often report experiences that uncannily mirror the descriptions of quantum phenomena. The most common is the dissolution of the boundary between the observer and the observed. The sense of a separate you sitting here, observing your breath, simply falls away. There is no longer a subject and an object. There is only the breathing. There is only the seamless, unified experience of being. The drop of individual awareness merges back into the ocean of pure consciousness. This perfectly mirrors the quantum reality where, at the most fundamental level, there are no separate things. There is only an indivisible, interconnected web of energy and information. The feeling of separation we experience every day might just be an illusion, a persistent story told to us by our overactive default mode network. The most beautiful part of this is that these states are not about achieving something extraordinary or adding a new skill. It's not about effortful striving, which only creates more tension and a mental noise. It's the opposite. It is about subtraction. It is about letting go. It's about creating the right conditions of stillness and gentle presence for our consciousness to settle back into its natural, coherent state. It's like a jar of muddy water. If you keep shaking it, trying to force the mud to settle, it will only get murkier. But if you simply set the jar down and let it be still, the mud will naturally, effortlessly settle to the bottom, leaving the water clear. Our consciousness is like that water. The deepest insights, the most profound peace, and the most stable states of coherence arise not from a struggle, but from a gentle, sustained, and loving presence with what is. This is the art of allowing your quantum self to emerge. So far, our journey has been an internal one, exploring the quantum nature of our own individual minds. But what happens when we turn this lens outward? What are the implications when multiple coherent minds come together? The principles of quantum mechanics, like entanglement, are not limited by scale or distance. This leads us to one of the most mind-bending and exciting frontiers of this new paradigm, the realm of collective coherence and global consciousness. You have felt this. Think of being in a stadium with 50,000 other people, all cheering for the same team. In that moment of a game-winning goal, the individual sense of self dissolves into a single, roaring wave of collective euphoria. Think of a powerful concert where thousands of voices join together to sing a beloved anthem, and a palpable feeling of unity and shared emotion fills the air, sending shivers down your spine. Or think of a massive, peaceful protest where the shared intention for justice and change creates a tangible field of resolve and solidarity. These are not just psychological phenomena. Cutting-edge research into something called social brain synchronization is revealing that when we engage in shared, meaningful activities, our very neural rhythms begin to align. Our brainwaves literally start to sync up. It's as if the boundaries between our individual nervous systems become more permeable, and we form a temporary, larger social brain. We become part of a resonant field of consciousness. Now, we are stepping into territory that is still controversial and on the very edge of science, but it's too fascinating not to explore. Consider the Global Consciousness Project, a long-running experiment based at Princeton University. For decades, a network of random number generators, or RNGs, has been placed all over the world. These devices are essentially electronic coin flippers, and under normal circumstances, they should produce a completely random 50-50 distribution of ones and zeros, and most of the time, they do. But the researchers began to notice strange anomalies. During moments of massive shared global attention, events that captured the hearts and minds of millions of people at the same time, like the 9/11 attacks, a royal wedding, or major natural disasters, these random generators would show tiny but statistically significant deviations from randomness. They would become slightly more orderly, as if a global wave of coherent emotion and attention was subtly influencing the quantum field in which these devices operate. Again, this is not yet proven mainstream science, but it poses a breathtaking question. What if a global field of consciousness exists, and when our individual minds become coherent and synchronized, we can tap into it and even influence it? Other studies have explored this on a more local level. A now famous experiment in the 1980s suggested a correlation between large groups practicing transcendental meditation in a city and a subsequent measurable drop in the crime rate in the surrounding area. The meditators weren't out on the streets actively stopping crime. The hypothesis was that their collective state of deep coherence and peace was radiating outwards non-locally, like a ripple in a pond, subtly influencing the consciousness of the entire community and reducing stress and aggression. These findings are provocative, and they hint at a possibility that could change the world. They suggest that coherent group consciousness might operate through the same non-local quantum channels as entangled particles. It implies that when a group of people synchronize their awareness and their intention, they can create a resonant field far more powerful than the sum of its parts, a field that can contribute to greater harmony, order, and peace in the wider world. What does this mean for us practically? It means that your personal practice of cultivating inner coherence is not just a selfish act, it is a gift to the world. When you meditate, when you find your flow state, when you simply act with mindful presence, you're not just changing your own brain, you may be contributing a drop of coherence to the collective field. It reframes the act of coming together in community. When we gather with a shared, positive intention, whether it's in a prayer group, a meditation circle, a community project, or even a family dinner filled with love and presence, we are doing more than just socializing. We may be engaging in a form of quantum activism. We are weaving our individual threads of consciousness together to create a more coherent, beautiful, and harmonious social fabric. The idea that we can change the world by changing our own consciousness is no longer just a spiritual aphorism. It may be a literal, operational principle of the universe. This journey is progressively expanding our sense of self. We started inside the neuron, moved to the individual mind, then to the collective field of humanity. Now, we must take the final, grandest leap to the level of the cosmos itself. The exploration of quantum consciousness doesn't just change our understanding of our minds, it radically reframes our relationship with the entire universe. The old story of science, the one most of us were taught in school, cast us in a rather lonely and insignificant role. We were told we are accidental byproducts of a random mechanical universe, living on a tiny speck of dust in an indifferent cosmic void. We are purely observers, separate from the world we study, passive witnesses to a grand, meaningless unfolding of physical laws. The participatory universe, suggested by quantum physics, tells a completely different story. It tells us that we are not passive observers, but active participants in the ongoing creation of reality. Our very consciousness, operating through the quantum biological structures in our brains, may be a fundamental interface with the quantum field. We are not just watching the movie of the universe. We are in the projection booth, and our awareness is helping to select which frame comes next. We are influencing the probabilities that shape how events unfold. This completely reframes one of the most powerful and often misunderstood forces in our lives: intention. In the old, classical paradigm, intention is seen as a kind of forceful willpower. It's about gritting your teeth, pushing against resistance, and imposing your personal will upon the world to get what you want. It's a struggle, a battle. But from a quantum perspective, intention is something far more subtle, elegant, and powerful. It is not about forceful willpower, but about alignment with the natural, self-organizing principles of the universe. Let's look to nature for the perfect example: photosynthesis. A leaf is the most efficient solar collector known to exist. It converts sunlight into energy with near perfect efficiency. How? It uses quantum coherence. When a photon of light strikes a chlorophyll molecule, the energy doesn't just bounce around randomly, trying to find the reaction center. Instead, it enters a coherent quantum state, allowing it to simultaneously explore all possible paths at once and instantly select the most efficient one. The leaf doesn't force the energy to go where it wants. It creates a state of perfect coherence that allows the energy to flow effortlessly and perfectly. What if our focused awareness, our clear and coherent intention, works the same way? What if, instead of trying to brute force our goals into existence, we learned to create a state of inner coherence that allows us to tap into the universe's own self-organizing intelligence? What if setting an intention is like tuning a radio dial? You don't create the broadcast. It's already there in the airwaves. You simply adjust your own receiver to match its frequency, allowing the signal to come through clearly. This perspective shifts our very identity. We are no longer an isolated, skin-encapsulated ego, fighting for its own survival and gratification. We are a unique, irreplaceable pattern of awareness within a vast, interconnected, and intelligent cosmic field. Our purpose is not just to achieve our personal goals, but to become a coherent channel for the universe's own creative impulse. Developing this capacity involves a profound shift in how we approach our lives. It means moving beyond a sole focus on personal, ego-driven goals. What do I want to get? And learning to sense the larger currents of change and evolution. It's about asking different questions. What wants to happen here, through me? What is the inherent momentum of this system? And how can I align my will with it? This is the difference between trying to row a boat furiously against a powerful river current and learning to become an expert sailor who can set their sail to harness the wind and the current to reach their destination with grace and ease. It means cultivating intuition, listening to those quiet gut feelings, and paying attention to the synchronicities and opportunities that the universe presents when we are in a state of alignment. It is a dance of co-creation, where our individual will and the will of the cosmos merge into a single, creative act. We cease to be just a part of the universe and become a partner in its continuing evolution, a conscious participant in the creative intelligence of the cosmos itself. Our journey now comes full circle, weaving the vastness of the cosmos back into the living, breathing planet we call home. This final thread connects our individual quantum consciousness directly into the magnificent tapestry of Earth's ecological systems. If our awareness is indeed a quantum phenomenon, then it shares a common root with the profound, self-organizing intelligence we see everywhere in the natural world. We are surrounded by examples of nature's quantum genius. Think of the vast underground fungal networks, the wood wide web that connect entire forests, allowing trees to share nutrients, send warning signals about predators, and operate as a single superorganism. This is a system of holistic, decentralized intelligence. Or consider the miraculous navigation of migratory birds. A bird, like the European robin, can sense the Earth's magnetic field to navigate thousands of miles with pinpoint accuracy. The leading theory for how it does this involves a quantum entanglement process within its retina. It is literally seeing the planet's magnetic field through a quantum lens. From the quantum coherence of photosynthesis in a single leaf to the collective intelligence of a forest, nature is a master of holistic, interconnected, and quantum efficient systems. And we are not separate from this. The same fundamental principles that govern the flight of a bird and the growth of a forest are at play within our own brains. Cultivating a coherent state of mind, therefore, is not just a personal wellness practice, it is a form of ecological consciousness. When we quiet our default mode network, the voice of separation, the illusion of being a distinct entity, separate from the world out there, begins to dissolve. In its place, a direct, felt experience of our fundamental interconnection with all of life can emerge. This is not a philosophical concept or a nice idea. It is a direct perception. You no longer think, I should care about the planet. You feel the health of the forest as your own health. You experience the water of the river as the water that flows in your own veins. The boundary thins, and empathy becomes your natural state. This suggests that our deepest personal and spiritual development is inseparable from collective planetary healing. The ecological crises we face, climate change, biodiversity loss, pollution, are not at their root technological problems. They are problems of consciousness. They stem from a deeply ingrained perception of separation, separation from each other, and separation from the natural world that sustains us. A consciousness that sees itself as separate can exploit, dominate, and destroy without feeling the consequences. A consciousness that experiences its own interconnectedness naturally becomes a steward, a guardian, and a responsible partner. Every moment of clear, present attention, every act of cultivating inner coherence, contributes to a larger pattern of awakening. It is a quiet revolution, happening one breath at a time in millions of minds across the globe. This awakening could be the most essential ingredient for addressing the complex, interconnected global challenges we face. We cannot solve our problems with the same level of consciousness that created them. We need a shift. We need to see with new eyes, the eyes of unity, the eyes of a participant, the eyes of our quantum self. So we are invited to see our own consciousness not as a small, insignificant thing, but as a vital force in the health and evolution of the living world. The journey inward is the journey outward. As you learn to harmonize your own mind, you contribute to the harmony of the whole. As you find peace within yourself, you radiate that peace into the collective field. Your personal healing is, and always has been, planetary healing. You're not a drop in the ocean. You are, as the poet Rumi said, the entire ocean in a drop. We have traveled an immense distance today, from the quantum dance within a single neuron to the grand symphony of the cosmos. We've seen how a breakthrough in a lab can affirm the wisdom of ancient traditions, and how the simple act of breathing can connect us to the creative forces of the universe. If there is one single lesson to take away from this journey, it is this: you are infinitely more powerful, more mysterious, and more deeply interconnected than you have ever been led to believe. The story of being a separate, passive observer in a random universe is crumbling. A new story is emerging. A story where you are a conscious co-creator, a participant in a living, intelligent, and evolving cosmos. Your awareness matters. Your attention has power. Your inner state of being ripples outwards and affects the whole. So, how do we live this? How do we take this epic story and apply it to our daily lives? It begins with small, simple steps. First, practice presence. Choose one small activity each day: drinking your morning coffee, washing the dishes, walking to your car, and do it with your full, undivided attention. Feel the warmth of the mug, smell the soap, notice the feeling of your feet on the ground. This is how you train the muscle of coherence. Second, seek your flow. What activity makes you lose track of time? Is it painting, playing music, running, writing, spending time with your children? Make a conscious effort to carve out more time for these states of deep immersion. This is where you connect with your intuitive quantum self. Third, shift from force to alignment. The next time you face a challenge, instead of asking, "How can I force this to work?" pause, take a breath, and ask, "What wants to happen here? What is the most graceful and effortless path forward?" Learn to listen to the subtle currents of your life. And finally, connect with nature mindfully. Go outside, not just for exercise, but for communion. Sit under a tree and feel its ancient stillness. Watch the clouds and sense their boundless freedom. Allow yourself to feel that you are not just in nature, but that you are nature. This is not a journey about becoming someone new. It is a journey of remembering who and what you truly are. It is about gently clearing away the noise of a lifetime of conditioning so that the clear, coherent signal of your true self can shine through. I leave you with a couple of questions to ponder. Think back on your life. Have you ever had one of those magical moments of pure flow or a stunning intuitive leap that you couldn't explain? What did it feel like? And looking forward, what is one small way you could practice being an active participant rather than just a passive observer in your life this week? I'd love to hear your stories and thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for sharing your time and your attention with me today. I wish you health, happiness, and a deepening connection to the quantum power that lies within you. And if this journey resonated with you, if it sparked a sense of wonder and possibility, please consider subscribing to the channel and joining our community as we continue to explore the deepest mysteries of our existence.